7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. Stand by.
How about that?
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. As always, you know the drill by now. These are very special days. Wednesday, hour one, because it's just you and me, the viewers, and the listeners. Game Plus streaming, YouTube Live, WQVZ down there in the U.S. South. I didn't forget about you, Rhino Radio. Having big fun on episode number 1745 of the RP Show, your favorite daytime sports talk show, airing in prime time in Las Vegas, where the Golden Knights are on their way to the Stanley Cup Final. There's going to be a lot of Golden Knights talk here today, along with football talk, CFL, little NFL if we can find it. It's quiet in that league right now, if you've noticed. Everybody's into the Blue Jays, the NBA. We got a lot to get to here in the warm-up. As we open with the Quick Six Show topics, the warm-up is brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Air. Carefree travel, score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legend Adam Big Hill and Rough Riders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day, once-in-a-lifetime cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale February 20th. Prices from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel. That's Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. This opening segment does go fast, so I'm just going to open up the Western Dodge text line right now, 902-518-3033, for any questions and comments that are tickling your fancy on my topics, the Quick Six, of importance to me, and then, of course, of importance to you. I was on the radio 1440 Edmonton this morning with Kevin Carius. I really stirred him up. He stirred me up. We had fun. I want to talk about that. We had our opening team welcome barbecue last night for the Moose Jaw Millers, hashtag We're the Millers, as we're getting ready for a fun baseball summer. So we've got a lot to get to, but as I mentioned, a lot of Vegas talk here in both hours, hour 1 and 2. Point 1 of the Quick Six. Mark Stone and Cole Smith scored for Vegas, and the Golden Knights suffocated Colorado's high-powered offense to beat the Avalanche 2-1 Tuesday night for an unthinkable sweep to make their third Stanley Cup Final in nine seasons. Now, let's just put it in park for a second. I want to know what you're seeing. What are you seeing out there? I've told you many times, and if I'm saying it, I'm telling you the truth. I've backed off on my social media consumption, but I mean, it's very hard to ignore. So I'm seeing a couple of things. That's in my commentary today as well. I mentioned it at rodpedersen.com. I'm enjoying watching the haters' heads pop off. I'm enjoying it immensely. And I said on Edmonton radio this morning, I'm a Carter Hart guy. Always have been. Always will be. The Tortorella thing, the McCrimmon, all of it. I'm loving that the haters are having such a tough time dealing with this. That's one. But two, on the positive side, I'm enjoying what the Golden Knights fans are saying, and it's a very interesting situation there. They've only had the team 9 seasons. I just said they're on their way to their third Stanley Cup Final, and some guy, I mean, I don't even know who the guy is. I just randomly follow fans because I like to see what the fans are saying. It's somewhat rare for a guy in my position, but I respect the fans. I really do. And one guy goes 3 Cup Finals in 9 seasons, .333 batting percentage. This is the greatest franchise in sports. And that's a very good place probably to start with a poll question today. Poll question brought to you by our friends at Country Thunder. The biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson and Creed. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. Just $20 down secures your weekend pass. Thank you, Corey, producer Corey. That's the first thing out of my mouth here. Because we go back and forth on these Wednesdays in hour 1, we've got time to do it. Are the Vegas Golden Knights the greatest franchise in sports right now? It was one of their fans that said it, so he's obviously a little biased, but I kind of sat back and I'm like, well, wait a minute. If it's not Vegas, really, then who? And I also mean the best franchise right now. To quote Chris Jones, don't get it twisted. The Steelers have more championships. The Yankees have all theirs. The Montreal. 3 finals appearances in 9 seasons of existence. It's a yes from me, dog. That is a Texas 10-4. The Vegas Golden Knights are the greatest franchise in sports right now. But having said that, early poll like 1 out of 100 reporting, it's 50-50. 50-50. So I want to know from the Rod Squad, you the viewers, if it's not the Golden Knights, then who is it? I mean, and I got room. I'm open-minded. I don't mind having these discussions. It's fun. It's what we do here. It's sports. If we can debate it like adults, which I think that we can. The Patriots flashes in my mind, of course, and think about this for 1 sec. Think about it. The Patriots might actually be better because Robert Kraft has owned the team for 32 seasons. They've been in 11 Super Bowls. They haven't won 11. They've won 6, but they've been in 11 Super Bowls. That might put them out front of the Vegas Golden Knights. Just checking in here. Carlos from Indiana says, hello, Rod Squad. John, checking in. Wacky Wednesday, he says, right here, right now. Hey, my buddy Craig Campbell from the Hockey Hall of Fame writes in. He says he's checking in from Vegas. Who will they play next? Well, hey, whoa. Have you been reading my diary, Craig? Because we got to get to a break here right away. But coming up, that is the next point, is obviously the Eastern Conference Final. And we'll get to the CFL because Craig is the biggest Argos fan I know. It's only preseason, so it's ramping up. But we'll get to some CFL talk here. But again, if it's not the Vegas Golden Knights, who? Martin St. Louis. It's not Martin St. Louis, the head coach of the Canadiens, that got me a little annoyed. It was whoever asked the question if they're dead, the Montreal Canadiens, in this Eastern Conference Final. Game 4 coming up tonight in Centre Bell. Carolina leads it 2-1. And Martin St. Louis addressed that yesterday. We'll get to that when we come back. I feel like we're going to be taking a break here real shortly. Are you there, producer Corey? Yeah, no, that's why I say, Coach DeBuck, you're a sharp guy. He's tuned in from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He says it's the Cowboys. That's my team, and I can't say that they're the best team. They're not. I said, who's the best franchise right now? It's the Vegas Golden Knights. Dallas Cowboys haven't been in the conference championship in 30 years. So, no, that's the whole point. I mean, we're here to debate. We're here to have fun. But let's just get the parameters correct here. And that is not the greatest all-time sports franchise. Who's the greatest sports franchise right now? Now, again, there's room for debate. The vote right now as we stand is 50-50. But we just popped the lid on a very fun discussion today. BW writes in, he says, perhaps the greatest team in the salary cap era. Well, that's the era that we're in. So it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing. I guess I'm not sure how I worded the poll question. Are they the greatest team? We'll be right back after this.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
Oh, hi. Welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show live from the Golden Ticket Sports Center. And for the streaming audience watching the ads and the break, that Dwight Yoakam show coming up June 24th. I was with the crew last night from Temple Garden Center, the arena here in Moose Jaw. It's going to be the biggest show this town's ever seen. And like they're going to sell the most seats. Biggest show ever for Dwight Yoakam. And they've had some shows now. Dolly Parton's been through here. Would have loved to have seen Dolly Parton. The Long Island medium, Teresa Caputo. Not to mention Clint Black. I've seen them all. Mark Chestnut. No, Yoakam is going to be the biggest they've ever had, June 24th. We can't wait. Got him going today. I woke up this morning full of piss and vinegar, I'll tell you right now. Carlos in Indiana writes in about our poll question. He goes, the best franchise in sports? I feel like that's going to start a flame war. That's kind of the idea. That's kind of what we do here. Because I'll say it again, for those that just tuned in, following the fans out of Vegas, where the Silver State Sports Network has been unbelievable to us. We air in prime time there every night. They're sharing all of our stuff, and they're going crazy with Golden Knights stuff down there. And the media hasn't historically jumped on the Golden Knights train. Like, we're the Vegas hockey show, and it's all great. So I'm following their fans. They're following us. And I saw a guy that said, we're the best franchise in sports. And immediately, I agreed with him. But because our Rod Squad viewers are so smart, you guys are kind of talking me off that ledge. But that's the poll question for Country Thunder. Are they? Where the hell is Tony from Cochrane, Alberta? He says, is the greatest franchise the one with the most money to buy championships? Then it's the Dodgers. I can't disagree with that. What is our criteria for the greatest sports franchise right now? Because if it's championship game appearances, series appearances, it might be the LA Dodgers. So I'm not saying that it has to be the Vegas Golden Knights, but it sounded good. I'm going with it, and I'd like to hear what the viewers have to say. I know there's a lot of CFL fans here, but guys, it's not the same. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, I'd like to say the Calgary Stampeders, but I don't think that'll get much support. No. BW from Edmonton writes in, he says, Winnipeg is the best CFL franchise in the past 15 years. Sure. John in Winnipeg. He says, once the Saskatchewan Roughriders win the Cup again this year, they will be Canada's great franchise. Go Green. Okay, guy, don't get off track here. Who is the greatest pro sports franchise right now. I'm still going to go with the Vegas Golden Knights. You guys have just given me something to think about here. But we've got a lot to get to. As I am the Larry King of sports talk on these Wednesdays. Craig in Las Vegas, Nevada. You're on the air. Hello. He said, he wrote it. Craig from Vegas wrote in. He goes, who's Vegas going to play? I'm going to tell you right now, the Quick Six Show topics in the warm-up brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. Did you see this one, Craig Campbell in Vegas? The owner of the BC Lions wrote me. He goes, your partner, Scruffy's too negative. And I said to Omar, I said, he's just right for the party. We can't all be, as my brother says, pixie dust and unicorn piss. Somebody's got to be a little fly in the ointment, and that's Scruffy. But thanks for watching. Point 2. The Montreal Canadiens insist they're not dead in the Eastern Conference Final despite trailing Carolina 2-1 heading into Wednesday night's Game 4 in the Bell Center. After winning Thursday's opener 6-2 in Carolina, Montreal's been smothered defensively in back-to-back 3-2 overtime losses. And for some strange reason, home ice hasn't been much of an advantage as the Habs have lost 5 of 7 at the boisterous Centre Bell. Here's the quote. We're behind, but we're not dead. Martin St. Louis said Tuesday, the head coach of the Canadiens. We continue. We have the tools to do this. So you got to kind of be careful. We talk about the media these days almost every day on this show. So I guess nobody actually stuck a microphone on Martin St. Louis' face and said, are you dead? His quote was, we're behind, but we're not dead. And for all of you sports people, and I say all you viewers are sports people because that's why you're tuned in here, we do understand, right? You're not dead until you're dead. Until you're dead, you're not dead. Write it down. It reminds me of, because we had a little bit of a tech disaster here yesterday, all on me and the equipment that I use, but one of the adapters that sets us all up here, it had a died 30 minutes before the show. And the beautiful thing about where we do the show here in the summers, there's a Staples 3 minutes away. I had to make 2 trips in 30 minutes to get the proper stuff to get back on the air. But the cord died. The lights flashed. Have you ever held a dead body? Because I have. I have. As God is my witness, I have. And just before a body passes over, there's a glitch. Is Montreal... You want more evidence as to how this show is different than any other? But yeah, part of my other life that I don't tell you about. Is Montreal glitching? They're not even glitching yet. They're not even on the operating table. I don't think that they are. Which I guess, we do the picks every day for Pump Jack's Steakhouse. Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. And let's do the pick right now. We were right yesterday. We said Vegas would win, and they did. We got our fingers on the pulse of that series. This one, not so much. But I feel like Montreal will win tonight, so put an R down beside Montreal. What do you all think tonight? BW from Edmonton writes in, and he says, I say Carolina versus Vegas, Vegas in 6. Well, let's just go one game at a time. Regarding the question, what's the greatest sports team? What's the greatest sports franchise right now? Tony says, salary capped era or MLB? I appreciate that you care so much. I really do. Let's just say who's the best pro sports franchise right now. And by your own criteria about going out and buying a team, Vegas wasn't able to do that. They operate in a salary cap league. MLB does not. That would tell me that Vegas, by proxy of their championship appearances and championship wins in their short amount of franchise life, would make them the best sports franchise. So, yeah, they didn't go out and buy a team. They can't do that in the NHL. Matthew DeBuck, Coach DeBuck writes in, he says, go, Habs, go. 40 shots tonight. Book it. I'll bet you on that, DeBuck. I'll bet you lunch at South Point, if that's the name of that place that we went to, they won't get 40 shots. They might win, but they won't get 40 shots. Bill from Toronto writes in, he says, this Leaf fan says, go, Habs, go. Well, that actually is something I was thinking about. I'm like, for a poll question, do you want the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup? I feel that would be an avalanche, pardon the pun, of no. It's kind of a fun little road that we've been on in these Stanley Cup playoffs where Vegas, they haven't really been liked since they came into the league 9 years ago, but now they're outright hated for the reasons that we all know because we talk about it here every day. And on the air up in Edmonton today, I just know because I started to poke at the Brews a little bit on Kevin Carey of Sports 1440 Edmonton, and he didn't like it. They don't like the Golden Knights up there in Edmonton. They can't beat them. They won't let them talk to Bruce Cassidy. And because, he's like, why are you all in on the Golden Knights? I said, because our show airs in Vegas every night. Oh, so if it aired in Carolina, would you be on the Hurricanes? Probably, but it doesn't. So, made for some great radio, I'll tell you that. Southport, thank you. I love it. BW writes in and says, supper at Pump Jacks last night was incredible in Weyburn. I know you well enough, BW, that you told them that you're there because of the RP show. I know that you did that. Mike in Winnipeg writes in to hashtag Kelly McCrimmon, hashtag legendary. That's the thing. I saw a thing here on Twitter, or it was Facebook. Craig West, my good friend Craig West, longtime voice of the Tri-City Americans and Spokane Chiefs, said he's never seen anybody as committed to winning as Kelly McCrimmon. So that's why I said this second he went to Vegas. I said this team's going to be in contention every year, and here we are. We'll come back on that, but for those that just tuned in, the poll question today is, are the Vegas Golden Knights the greatest franchise in sports right now? And within 21 minutes, I think we've gotten to the bottom of the fact that they indeed are. Where's Jason from Red Deer, by the way? The biggest Golden Knights fan in this region, and he hasn't written in today. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. He says, hey, Rod, I thought I was the biggest Argo fan you know. Not personally, he puts in. Well, I don't know you. I know you feel like you know me, and that's cool, and hopefully we can make that happen, but I don't know you personally. Craig Campbell is the guy. He's the other guy. You got Phil Pritchard. Thank you, memory. Phil Pritchard is the guy with the hair like Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber. Let's be honest, it is. It looks like Jeff Daniels from Dumb and Dumber, Phil Pritchard. Everybody knows Phil Pritchard. He's got a MasterCard endorsement deal, right? The other guy that brings the cup out is Craig Campbell. He's the far more reserved guy than Phil Pritchard. And that's who the two guys bring it up. Go look up the photos. Phil Pritchard's one with a Dumb and Dumber hairdo, and Craig Campbell is the other guy. And he's writing in, and I said he's the biggest Argos fan I know. And speaking of that, while we're in the Canadian Hour, and I told you I left my flags in Florida, I couldn't bring back everything. I had to bring the Laura Bell. I had to bring the kazoo. But I didn't bring my flag. So just trust me, we're in the Canadian Hour right now. So if you do have some CFL topics you'd like to get to, fire them my way right now. Oh, Tony from Cochrane, you reminded me of something. Jason from Red Deer says, hey, Rod, sorry, Rod just got back. We were wondering where you were. It's our usual coffee get-together, and you're late. Oh, and by the way, I went and got Tim Hortons coffee this morning, and they had immigrant workers, and the coffee still tastes the same. It's wild. As I brought up yesterday, people are upset. I can't believe this is probably the dumbest thing that I've heard in 2026 anyways. People are boycotting Tim Hortons because all they hire is immigrant workers. Guess what? I'm an immigrant. I'm glad I don't face that in the U.S. Anyways, the THEOREN Fleury is coming up in hour 2. My good friend Theo. Guy knows a little bit about cancel culture himself. Why am I saying cancel culture? Because I wrote it down here. Another friend of mine, Dave Dawson, Edmonton broadcasters, put on Twitter this morning, how about the Vegas Golden Knights thumbing their nose at cancel culture? I'm like, I don't really know that they're doing that, but maybe they are. But it's certainly pissing off a lot of people, and I like that. Anyways, The photo that I put up on all our social media is of Theo and I at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. I got quite of a bang out of that because I was looking at the photo. It was from last summer. We did the live show there, and my old bell was on the table. Now that I think about it, that bell might still be at Overtime. I left it in Calgary. I didn't know if it was at the golf course at Theo's golf tournament or I don't remember, but I lost the bell. And then the kazoo, and that was a purple one that broke. But the people that came down to watch that live show, the people that came down to watch that live show, they were picking up these things like they were religious artifacts. Oh, that's the kazoo? I paid $2.50 at John's Music in Moose Jaw. It's not that big. It was like really funny. Yeah, so I guess some people, I don't know, like this show and the things that we do. Anyways, funny that you say this, Jason in Red Deer. He says, can't wait for the Stanley Cup Final. I looked up tickets for the game in Vegas, $800 for nosebleeds. Somebody was asking me about that, the ticket prices in Vegas and what they would be running for right now. We'll be right back.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show from the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Join the action at Golden Ticket Sports Center, your hub for sports, fitness, and community fun. GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com is their website, and there's always something fun going on here. When we talk hockey, it's brought to you by the Mad Greek Eatery. Whether it's pizza, ribs, or authentic Greek favorites, make it the Mad Greek Eatery tonight. Open until 11 p.m. I got to make my way around to all of our sponsors, and I will over the course of the summer. Tomorrow, I'll be at Pump Jacks Cathedral. Pump Jacks Cathedral. I will be having the coconut shrimp because it's the best that I've ever had. And I usually have an anti-seafood policy when I'm on the prairies. Not there. Nope. It's as good as you're ever going to find. Oh, and just before we dive back into the sports talk, well, I was saying earlier, but this is sports talk. Martin and St. Louis said, we're behind, but we're not dead. And I said, you're not dead until you're dead. And I said, just like this cord that died yesterday, just before it died, the lights flickered and then out. That happens with bodies as they're expiring. And producer Gory says he's got to go back to last summer when my purple kazoo died. The quote he used was, it made a poo sound and then died. So one last... And I don't think Montreal Canadiens are there yet. But I'm telling you, it's a thing. And if you have not experienced that, consider yourself lucky. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Western Dodge, the official vehicle supplier of the RP Show in these beautiful Saskatchewan summers. I guess I should get back on point, as I said, with the sports talk. Point 3. For Jesus Sanchez, the wait was worth it. The Toronto Blue Jays newcomer never thought smacking his first Grand Slam would happen in his 7th Major League Baseball season, but because he accomplished the feat against his former team, the Miami Marlins, last night, the moment was extra sweet. The left-handed hitting former Marlin turned on a 98.6-mile-per-hour fastball from his former teammate starter Sandy Alcantara, smacking a line drive 394 feet down the right field line to punctuate a productive 6th-run inning in the Blue Jays' 8-1 victory over the Marlins. Let me stop there for 1 second. So, trying to sneak in as much Blue Jays baseball as I can. It's out here in the Western time zone, which truly is God's time zone, the Mountain time zone. The game, Blue Jays start at 5. Hockey games start at 6, in some cases 7. So I'm watching the early innings of the Blue Jays games. But then once the hockey's on, I'm all in. But last night we had our first welcome team barbecue for the baseball team that I broadcast for, the Moose Jaw Miller Express NCAA Collegiate Summer Baseball. And it's interesting. We've got new coaches. Half the team is new. Welcome to NCAA sports. But one thing that I've realized just in the short time that I've been doing this, is my 3rd season, everybody's a brand now. You know what I mean? They had got a company name. The players, the coaches, everybody's a brand. And they got their own logo. They got their own company name. They got their own, it's not their actual name. And I'm not going to, as the summer goes along, I'll tell you what's, and I find it cool. But that's what sports is now. You need to get a brand. You need to get your followers up. You need to do this. It's times change. And we just try to ride the wave. Point 4, Canadian Shea Gilgeous-Alexander scored 32 points. Alex Caruso led another strong bench effort with 22. And the Oklahoma City Thunder moved 1 win away from a return trip to the NBA Finals by beating the San Antonio Spurs 127-114 on Tuesday night. I'll tell you, that is one thing that I'm not missing, was all the Knicks talk in South Florida, because there's so many New Yorkers there. So the Knicks swept Cleveland, right, in the East Final. They were sitting there waiting for the winner of the West Final, and it's, oh my God. Knicks fans are as annoying as Leaf fans and Cowboys fans, which, by the way, speaking of the Leafs, I saw the report that Chris Knobloch will not be in contention to be the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's according to Nick Alberga, who has been on this show. I'm not sure whether that report is accurate or not, but Nick's reporting that, so we'll give him credit for that. Jared Dumba, one of our hockey analysts, is very, very close to the Knobloch family. And Jared posted this to one of his social media channels. He goes, why would he want to go there? He's getting, what is it, folks? Tell me, $7.5 million to stay home for the next 2 years? Why would you go to Toronto? By the way, as I was saying this morning on Edmonton radio too, by the way, one of the things I love about Moose Jaw is it is a hockey town. Hockey, hockey, hockey. It's all they talk about morning, noon, and night. And I love that. And there's a lot of hockey people here. Somebody told me that the notion or the narrative that the Leafs are being run by AI is not correct. And I kind of wondered when I read that in The Athletic, because I know Keith Pelly personally, the president of MLSC, known him a long time, worked for him at Sportsnet for a period. He seems like a smarter guy than someone that would be running the Toronto Maple Leafs off of AI. But I don't know him that well, and I've worked for enough people like that would, so I don't know. But some of the hockey people are, and there's many of them around here, they're like, that's not accurate. I would hope not. Back to you never know what to believe these days. 902-518-3033. Upstate Ryan has checked in. Hey, Ryan from upstate New York says, good day, Rod Squad. Hope everyone is enjoying their Wednesday. You'd be a good guy to ask, Ryan, your thoughts, because you're a fan of the Empire State. You live in the Empire State. I was saying earlier, a Golden Knights fan put on Twitter that the Golden Knights are the greatest pro sports franchise right now. We've been debating that, and that's the poll question, as you saw when you checked in here on YouTube. Are the Golden Knights the greatest pro sports franchise right now? The vote, the last I saw on Instagram, was 50-50. And I'm saying if it's not Vegas, who is it? Tony from Cochrane brought up the Dodgers, but we put that to bed quickly. If it's about buying championships, yeah, it's the Dodgers, but it's not about that. And Vegas has the restrictions of a salary cap that the Dodgers do not, yet they're having similar success. So, Patriots, especially if you're a football guy, you would say it's the Patriots. 32 years Robert Kraft has owned them. They've been in 11 Super Bowls in one. It's probably the Patriots. And I go back to my morning chat, Sports 1440 with Carius this morning, which, by the way, just so you all, I got the sense that he was a little offended by some of my comments today. I was just pushing on the bruise. He didn't like it. I don't care. But it makes for great radio. What's up, producer Corey? Are we breaking soon? This is going far too fast. I'm sorry, I've got itchy eyes here. I have over 2.5 minutes? Okay. Corey's laughing into the microphone at some of my comments, so I didn't know if we were going to a break soon or not. It's the Larry King of Sports Talk here on these Wednesdays, hour 1. Theron Fleury coming up in hour 2. Ronaldo and Yonkers, you're on the air. Hello. I always like the Yonkers. 902-518-3033. Okay, hang on. Thank you, Kirk from Toronto. We got through Western Conference Final, Eastern Conference Final, Blue Jays, NBA, now football. For as long as you guys want to talk about it. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says on the Western Dodge text line, Argos head coach Mike Miller broke practice and took the whole team to the movies. How about that? Let's talk about some of these CFL things and what you're reading and what you're seeing. I think it was a viewer to this show wrote in here on Monday and was upset that the BC Lions didn't play Nathan Rourke in the exhibition game in Langford, BC on the weekend. And I'll be honest, I personally am way, 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 way past that. And that's where what I've said it this week. I vacillate, to use a Bob Hughes term, which means go back and forth. I vacillate between the fans. Actually, I go between three places: the media, the fans, and the team. Beam. And I listen to all of them. I take in all opinions. And I don't have a problem with the BC Lions not playing Nathan Rourke in that big marquee neutral site game at Starlight Stadium in Langford, BC on the weekend. But do you? Because I understand where they're coming from. We had, when I was living in Regina, we had the Tampa Bay Lightning come in and play the Calgary Flames in a preseason game whenever Rick Tocchet, it was Victor Hedman's first rookie season, whatever year that was. And I was in the news conference, and I said to the general manager at that time, Brian Lawton, is Stamkos going to play? Hedman going to play? Oh, they're all going to play. Yeah, they're all going to play. This was months in advance of the game. And then the morning skate, I'm interviewing Rick Tocchet, and I said, so how's your lineup looking for? I didn't see Stamkos out on the ice or Hedman on the ice here. He goes, oh, they're not playing tonight. Well, your GM said that they were going to play, and this whole place is going to be filled tonight with people expecting to see those guys. We'll finish.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your Apple, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back. It's the RP Show, everybody, on a Wednesday. Theoren Fleury coming up in hour 2. Everybody's excited to hear from Theo. He is a beloved figure here with the Moose Jaw Warriors and the hockey circles, and as we all know, should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. We've done 44 minutes. Congratulations, Rod. I haven't brought up Theo to the Hall of Fame until now. But he's just going to join us to talk hockey and whatever else comes up. Well, I was talking with the Warriors people last night. What I tell you, it's a hockey town. And they were saying how the public Theo and the personal Theo are two different guys. I'm like, I know that. It doesn't bother me. That pisses people off. He just likes to stir it up. See what he says when he comes on here in hour 2. Asking the viewers, are the Vegas Golden Knights the greatest franchise in pro sports right now? I saw a Golden Knights fan say that this morning on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, I think you're right. Let's turn that into a poll question. Late night Smitty, Steve Smith is watching in Steinbach, Manitoba. He says, Golden Knights, 100%. Yes, they are. Viewer Jason says the poll results, 70% say no and 30% say yes, they are. I'm sitting here going, if it's not them, who is it? And, whoa, hey, Jeff the Stamps fan with a good comment. He says it was the Detroit Red Wings. Yes. But please, let's remember a few things here. This is sticking with me probably forever. The Tom Brady quote, which I was watching the interview on the Jake Paul podcast with Tom when he said it. He goes, I've won 7 Super Bowls. Nobody gives a shit. If you don't understand what that means, think about it. Because he couldn't be more right. Detroit Red Wings, you were the best pro sports franchise. 4 Stanley Cups in a 30-year window. Not anymore. Nobody gives a shit. Thank you, Tom Brady. Okay, I'll stop swearing. Sorry, WQVZ and those listening down in the U.S. Bible Belt. Brent, we got a nice little gang together. It's the usual Rod squad, but I'm loving it. Brent has tuned in from Wellington, Florida, he sent me a graphic here. 6 teams won more games than the Golden Knights this year and didn't make the playoffs. Florida Panthers, Washington Capitals, New Jersey Devils, Columbus Blue Jackets, Detroit Red Wings, and New York Islanders all won more games than the Vegas Golden Knights. And let's be honest, does it not feel like they're going to go win the Stanley Cup? So, I mean, this ain't news to me. Not only is this how Kelly McCrimmon works, it's how the vast, vast, vast majority of successful sports franchises work. The regular season's for lesson learning. The playoffs are for putting those lessons to work. Or if you don't like what you're seeing in the regular season, then you'll make the change. But for those, that's what the coaches always say. George Cortez said it to me. You know, Rod, the fans want us to go 18-0. I said, well, that's a reasonable expectation. But it's not reasonable. We're not going to win every game. So they need to stand down. The fans aren't going to. And furthermore, the whole point on this is if anybody's paying attention, it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. Shoot, because it's the Florida Panthers and nobody's really paying attention because they're so far away from what they're doing in Canada. They took their foot off the gas 2 years ago from the Four Nations face-off on. From Valentine's Day on, the Panthers took their foot off the gas. Brent and I saw it with our own 2 eyes. Paul Maurice is like, we're good enough to be in the playoffs. We just need to touch the gas a little bit to get into the playoffs, and then somebody wrote in here earlier and said, we're Utah Darren. A few things, Utah Darren, he says, you are the best until someone better comes along. But he also said, where's your other comment here, Darren? Basically about, it's too many comments from the viewers, but it was something along the lines of Vegas stomped on the gas as soon as the playoffs started. So it's funny you say, you're the best until somebody comes along. When I started my website back in 2006, rodpedersen.com, still going to this day, 40 million all-time hits, I was like, this is fun. It's a lot of work. Somebody eventually will come along and put more work into it and do better than me. Nobody ever did. Nobody ever did. And that's how about won 2 awards as Canada's Sports Blog of the Year and all the rest. I mean, it was another era. I don't put as much work into it now as I did then. But I'm like, no, nobody ever did come along and do it better. Okay, here we go. It's really getting good. Couple things. Bob writes in, he says, good day, Rod. Bob from Medicine Hat. Hopefully the Habs will win tonight. Have a great day, my friend. That's Bob in Medicine Hat. Well, we'll all be watching tonight, Bob. I can't wait for the game. I'm already thinking about the menu for tonight. What's going to be on the menu as we tune in? Probably Mad Greek, I would think. And we talked about it a lot earlier. I'm not sure if you watched it or not. I've picked Montreal to win tonight. If they don't blame me. They are struggling at home. There's no doubt about that. David from Winnipeg, David number 2, writes in. What a wonderful gang of folks we have here today. He says, good morning, Rod Father. As a man of faith, I live a great redemption story. Carter Hart is a great one, as long as one has learned from their mistakes and is truly repentant. I am not sure that the NHL would want him to win the Conn Smythe. I feel he is only back playing because the league has no choice. What are your thoughts? What my thoughts are on that is the man was found not guilty of the charges that were brought against him, and he's been brought back to the league. He is the only one, right, that's playing. He's a hell of a goaltender. He's a hell of a person. Tony brought this up from Cochrane the other day, saying, would Gary Bettman veto Carter Hart winning the Conn Smythe? I don't know whether he would or not. I don't know. Like, you talk about man of redemption. Actually, I'll get Theo to tell the story, because he has told it on this show before, but I'll get him to ask it again. He had to seek redemption from the commissioner's office. He flew to New York to meet with Gary Bettman face-to-face. He had come out of all of his addiction issues and all the rest, and he didn't even know if he was going to be able to ever play in the NHL again. And Gary cleared him and said, congratulations, I'm so proud. Whatever, I'll have Theo tell the story, but he basically said, I feel for you and what you've gone through. Welcome back to the NHL. Kind of tells you how Gary Bettman rolls, okay? We can't live in a world where you make a mistake or a perceived mistake and you pay for it for the rest of your life. You just can't. We can't do that. So if you want to know what my thoughts are, those are my thoughts. Is there a little to there's different rules for different people? Whether it's fair or not, I don't know. It's the way that it is. Why is Carter Hart back playing and 7 others aren't, or at least in the NHL? I can't explain that to you, but Carter Hart is. And a guy that I know called me yesterday who, frankly, just got out of rehab, might be watching right now. He said, Carter Hart's playing like a guy that knows he could have his whole world pulled away from him at any second, because it can. It's called redemption. And what you just said, you got to make the most of it when you get that next chance. Utah Darren writes in and says, I was really excited about the Mammoth and their effort in the Vegas series until I saw what they did to the Avalanche in the conference finals. They cruised past the Mammoth. There's a little to being galvanized as a group, a lot of let's stick it where the sun don't shine. There has to be a lot of that. Somebody wrote into rodpedersen.com this morning and said, will Kelly Sutherland get his name on the Stanley Cup? He's one of the refs from last night. I don't even know specifically what that guy was talking about. But you honestly are going to say the officials gave the Vegas Golden Knights the game or the series? They completely steamrolled Colorado. They really weren't even in the series. Don't be blaming the refs. It's just making people look bad. That's, frankly, it's what I'm just enjoying. I'm enjoying sitting back, watching the haters. Let's just call them haters. I'm not going to say the left, the liberals. That's what people are calling them. I don't think it's necessarily that, but there are haters. And I'm enjoying their heads just pop off the more success the Golden Knights have. It's entertaining to me. And, I mean, some of them are my own personal friends. I'm like, when are you man, I admire the fact that you're not giving up. You've been given plenty of evidence on this Carter Hart story. There's a reason he's still playing, and you still will not let the man off the hook. That's impressive, lady. We will not surrender. Okay. How's that going for you? 902-518-3033 is the text line. Let me get to the hockey. We've been talking hockey. The other hockey. Because I don't know if I'll do this next hour in Vegas. Jack Pridham and Sam O'Reilly each had a goal and an assist. Christian Kirsch made 26 saves, and the Kitchener Rangers defeated the Chicoutimi Saguenayens 3-2 at the Memmer Tuesday night in Kelowna. Luca Romano also scored for the Rangers, who went to 3-0 at Prospera Place. They've gone straight to Sunday's final now by going 3-0. Kitchener. They've been, if you've been following this very clearly since the start of the tournament, the class of the tournament. The OHL has won the last 2 Memorial Cups. The Saginaw Spirit in 2024 and the London Knights in 2025, which is another thing. One of those Warrior hockey guys last night who might be watching right now, he goes, oh, yeah, they say that college hockey is all about, it's not about development anymore. It's all about wins and money. I'm sorry, I feel like it always has been. And frankly, junior hockey too. The Kelowna Rockets, 0-2, play the WHL champion Everett Silvertips tonight, 1-1 in the final game of the round robin. The Tips eliminated the Rockets on April 17th in the second round of the WHL playoffs. So, yeah, this is where it gets confusing to me. Kitchener's gone all the way to the final. Shikutami's sitting back watching the games tonight. I get a headache just thinking about it. Here's another one. I can't believe how many people are into the World Hockey Championship. I am not, but as a service to you people, I will read this. Already assured of top spot in their pool, Canada finished off the preliminary round at the World Men's Hockey Championship with a 3-2 win over Czechia Tuesday. Canada's reward for finishing atop in Pool B, another knockout game against the arch rival United States. Back with...
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Prediction time. This RP show on this Wednesday is going to be amazing and fun. Well, it's always fun, and it's usually amazing, but even more so today. Theoren Fleury joins us. 1,100 NHL games, 1,100 NHL points, Olympic gold, Stanley Cup, World Championship gold, you name it. World Juniors. Theoren Fleury will be with us coming up in hour 2. Brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, a barn, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca. Okay, let's go, baby. We welcome the viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports. What a wonderful thing of timing. I thank God for it, that this is our first year on Silver State Sports Entertainment Network in prime time, and the Golden Knights are just trucking their way to the Stanley Cup Final. As a matter of fact, let's go. I'll say this to the haters, some of which are actually watching this show. I don't get this about haters. Why are you watching? They're writing in about Carter Hart, and I'm going to get to all of that stuff. It's sour grapes. So just for the Nevada viewers and the Vegas Golden Knights fans that are watching, the more success the Golden Knights have, the higher the heat is rising, and the haters are getting more and more and more pissed off. And frankly, I find it highly entertaining. But I don't get haters. There's very few people in the world that I just really dislike, especially people that I don't know. But there's one, Piers Morgan. I don't like how he looks. I don't like how he talks. I don't like his attitude. So guess what? I don't watch him, and I don't follow him. But I guess that's apparently very rare. We got some cute, interesting comments from the viewers, too. But the big story is we open up with the warm-up here, the Quick Six Show topics brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show and the CFL's BC Lions. Mark Stone and Cole Smith scored for the Vegas Golden Knights, who suffocated Colorado's high-powered offense and beat the Avalanche 2-1 on Tuesday night for an unthinkable sweep in the Western Conference final of the National Hockey League, and they're on their way to their third Stanley Cup final in 9 seasons. The Golden Knights will get a break now while they wait to see whether Carolina or Montreal advance out of the East. And we'll get to that series in a second. I'm just reading from the Wire story here. This is a crushing end for an Avalanche team that won the President's Trophy and had blown through the playoffs at 8-1 before the series. Chicago in 2013 was the last team to claim the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup in the same season. So what would be a good poll question? It isn't today, but it would be a good poll question. Do you believe in the President's Trophy curse in the National Hockey League? Well, I just said the team that wins the regular season gets the President's Trophy, but not one since 2013 has gone on to win the Stanley Cup. So it's not even it's a curse. They got mad at me in Winnipeg last year when I said that there's a curse before the playoffs even started. And don't shoot the messenger, man. The poll question is this, because what I love, we get treated so well here on the RP Show by the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. We get treated so well by the Golden Knights and all the Vegas teams, frankly, and also really well by the viewers and the fans. And I'm following them on social media. And one fan this morning said, 333 batting average. We're on our way to our third Stanley Cup in 9 seasons. Best pro franchise. Best team in sports right now. And that's our poll question for Country Thunder, which, by the way, the biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th. Featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, and the RP Show. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. Are the Vegas Golden Knights the greatest franchise in pro sports right now? Now, there are a lot of our viewers had the benefit of watching the first hour on other platforms and streaming, so they had a runway at this. And I think we kind of put this to bed. I talked about the hate with regards to the Golden Knights. 70% of the respondents that are voting on YouTube said, no, they're not. Oh, okay, well then, who is? The Dodgers came up, the reigning World Series champions, but they bought the World Series. That doesn't count. You can't do that in hockey. I was the one who, I moonlight as a football guy and in my other career and spare time. And the Patriots under Robert Kraft, he's owned them 32 years. They've been to 11 Super Bowls and won 6. It's probably the Patriots. And for the 70% that say, no, it's not Vegas, I'm guessing they're thinking it's Vegas, but I don't know. But I'm going to go back and read a couple of the text messages and so forth here. By the way, I guess while we're at it, I've learned there are a lot of CFL fans in the U.S. that watch this show. So Join CFL legend Adam Bighill and Saskatchewan Roughriders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale, February 20th to the 27th. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices starting from $18.99, cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel, Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. Viewer, I got some fat fingers today. David writes in and says, Rod, are you going on that CFL cruise? This is on the Western Dodge text line. He says, I think it would be great for you to perform your first wedding on it. I am an ordained minister, Universal Life Church. Got set up to do that by a wedding planner in Florida, Bree. She was named top 10 wedding planners in the USA. Unbridled Weddings and Events out of Wellington, Florida. She's like, Rod, you would be great at this. You need to go get ordained as a minister. I'd love you to perform weddings for me. So I do, and then I don't get any weddings. She's afraid to give me my first one. Like I'm going to blow it. I said, hey, I've been married 3 times. I know how it goes. So maybe the first one will be on that cruise. Tony from Cochrane writes in, says, can't wait for Theo. He posted on LinkedIn that Monday was the 37th anniversary of the Flames winning the Cup. I can't wait for Theo either. Vancouver Eric writes in, he says, love the energy today, RP. Well, I'll tell you what, my feet hit the floor real early today, 5 a.m. Part of that is I'm still operating on the Eastern time zone. But I went for a very long walk in Waccamaw Valley Park, and I was listening to motivational videos. If you want to know what they are, I'll let you know. Not here, because you didn't ask. But it had me ready to run a freaking marathon, man, and take on the world today, which we kind of do every single day. My fat fingers are killing me right now, but we're getting through all the tech and so forth. And we're winning. Okay. Point 2 of the Quick 6 show topics. The Montreal Canadiens insist they're not dead in the Eastern Conference Final, despite trailing Carolina 2-1 heading into Wednesday night's Game 4, the Centre Bell. So this is creative headline making, and I'm not going to get mad at the media on this. No numpty walked up to Martin St. Louis and said, are you dead, Marty, trailing 2-1? No. Martin St. Louis, the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens, said this, quote, we're behind, but we're not dead. We continue. We have the tools to do this. Can I say this? Yeah, I guess this kind of, in a way, goes back to my being an ordained minister thing. Have you held a body as it expires, as they cross, as they pass? Have you? Because I have. And just before the body expires, there's a glitch. I saw it happen yesterday with my adapter cord here. The lights flickered and then went off. Producer Corey reminded me that last summer, my purple kazoo made a sound that he referred to as poo. It made a poo noise. Poo. Died. You're not dead until you're dead. Write it down. So no reporter said that to Martin St. Louis. He said it. We're behind, but we're not dead. Should be a hell of a hockey game tonight. Loved the chat with Alan May yesterday about the imposing of the will of the two teams. That's what we love about sports. Two distinctly different teams. The smothering, veteran, boring style of the Carolina Hurricanes versus the young, pep in their step, lead in their pencil, piss and vinegar Montreal Canadiens, who don't even know that they shouldn't have gone this far. Who's going to win? I got Montreal to win tonight. Brought to you by Pump Jacks. Our picks are brought to you by Pump Jacks Steakhouse and Saloon. Pump Jacks Cathedral and Pump Jacks Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Oh, hang on. Utah, Darren writes in. He says, I don't hate Vegas. I just hope my team gets to their level. That we've spent a lot of time on the program today talking about the Vegas Golden Knights, and why not? They're on their way to the Stanley Cup. Sorry, some of these comments here don't make a lot of sense. BW in Edmonton writes in. He says, Rod, are you going down to Vegas for a remote show? Great tax write-off, LOL. The plan is not to do that. So unless Silver State Sports or the Vegas Golden Knights have other ideas, my plan is why I came to Moose Jaw in the first place, to broadcast Miller Express Baseball, which we had our first team welcome barbecue last night, and I don't like to let the team down. But that reminds me, because just before I left Florida, Friday night, we had a supper in West Palm Beach. And I was with some people from USA Football, and they said, Rod, you were the voice of USA Football, and then you weren't. What happened? I said, I started going to Canada to do baseball in the Western Canadian Baseball League because I can't just do one event a summer, the national championships for USA Football. And they said, well, maybe can you just ask the baseball guys if you can come down? Okay, but not today. I'm busy. Okay. Bear with me, navigating my way through this. Baseball, I'll say it again. We're the Blue Jays show. Will be. For Jesus Sanchez, the wait was worth it. The Toronto Blue Jays newcomer never thought smacking his first career grand slam would happen in his 7th MLB season, but he did it against his former team last night. The Miami Marlins. The lefty turned on a 98.6 mile an hour fastball from his former teammate, Sandy Alcantara. The only Marlin that I could name, by the way, Sandy Alcantara. He's a big deal in South Florida. Smacked a line drive 394 feet down the right field line to punctuate a productive 6-run 6th inning in the Blue Jays' 8-1 win. It's one thing that I enjoy a lot. And by the way, the Jays, they're on the field right now, wrapping up that series against the Marlins. It hasn't always been that way, but it's this way now. Everybody's watching Blue Jays baseball. All my friends, everybody across Canada. And why not? They're hot again. They went to Game 7 of the World Series. But let's not forget there was a 20-year gap where none of us watched the games, and they were that terrible. So it's fun now. I enjoy that everybody's watching it. Point 4, Canadian Shea Gilgeous-Alexander scored 32 points. Alex Caruso led another strong bench effort with 22. And the Oklahoma City Thunder moved one win away from a return trip to the NBA Finals by beating the San Antonio Spurs 127-114 on Tuesday night. The Knicks are waiting for them in the NBA Finals. Over the last little bit, I was questioning myself. I'm like, why am I not watching as much NBA as I used to? I'm like, oh, wait a minute. My kids were basketball players, and so that was why I was into it big time. Watched it with them. They're all grown now. So I'm not following I'm following it. I'm not watching it. There is a difference. By the way, the RP show is brought to you by Suds. Suds Car Wash. Are you stuck for gift ideas? Suds gift cards, available online, at our location, or at Costco. They're the ultimate for anyone who loves a clean ride. Visit sudsregina.com. Point 5 was football. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of CFL fans watching this program on both sides of the border. You're going to have to, Jeff the Stamps fan, can you clarify your comment that you wrote here on the streaming feed? He says, they are hate watching. Oh, who's hate watching? Oh, the haters are hate watching. Okay, you didn't have to clarify that. I just had to slow my brain down a little bit. As I said earlier, why are the haters watching this show? But I'm a really big fan of Howard Stern. I've told those stories on the air before. I've been to his studio in New York, 54th floor, down there on the Avenue of the Americas. And I heard this stat one time that said the average Howard Stern fan listens an hour a day. The average Howard Stern hater listens 3 hours a day. I've never understood the mentality. So the people that are going off on Carter Hart, we all know why. The Golden Knights put this to bed way, way back. They're like, we're not addressing this anymore. Everybody knows the story. But there's just a lot of people that won't put the sword down. And a lot of them are in Canada. I'll be honest, as I was coming closer to the 49th parallel Sunday night, it was the anger and hate was like radiating towards the aircraft. I don't know what it is. I don't know what Carter Hart has to do. But that is the other thing. I wanted to make this clear to the Golden Knight fans, if they care. Because for those that are watching and following in Canada, where hockey's the number one sport, they're saying that the Golden Knights are the anti-cancel culture team, and they're thumbing their nose at cancel culture. John Tortorella should have never been hired again. He's been fired everywhere. Wait. He's just out-coached the pants off Jared Bednar in the Western Conference Final. And he's saying that he's just opening the door. Come on, Torts. Tony from Cochrane writes, and he says, kazoo lesson, Rod, if you blow too hard into it, you will burst the thin paper, and that makes the buzz noise. Yeah, I'm good. John writes in, he says, jealousy is rampant in today's world. Well, you know what? We can actually get into that with Theo. Dear friend of mine who joins us next, 1,100 NHL games, 1,100 NHL points, Stanley Cup, Olympic gold, World Juniors gold, World Championship gold. I'll be interested to see if Theo's following the Worlds because I am not. But he is also a certified mental health coach. I just remembered we both went through the same academy together in Hartford. Remember that, Theo? If he's logged in yet. We'll get into what we got a lot to get to with Theo. We'll be right back here on Silver State Sports, streaming in WQVZ Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP Show continues, brought to you in part by our friends at Western Dodge. Are you looking for a new ride? Head to Western Dodge where the deals are real and the service is legendary. All right, we got him from the home office, from the bunker. The great Theron Fleury joining us. How you doing, Theo?
Good. How you doing, bud?
Good. Hey, poll question today, because I heard it out of Vegas this morning. Are the Golden Knights the greatest pro sports franchise right now?
I think they got to win another couple Stanley Cups before that happens. So, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that. No.
They're saying 3 Stanley Cup final appearances in 9 seasons. Not bad.
Well, they got a really nice head start from the NHL. So.
Okay. Well, hey, they don't care, number one. And number two, I think, honestly, under the old expansion rules, they'd have been successful too. Or am I on a pipe of some kind? No?
No. I remember beating the Ottawa Senators 10-0 in their first year. I remember playing the San Jose Sharks, beating them 12-1. I was +9 that game when they were an expansion team. So, yeah, they went right to the finals the first year. San Jose, Tampa, Ottawa, all those teams, they never had a chance. They had to build their teams, through the draft and free agency and all these things. And so, they, like I said, they got a head start. So.
Well, those teams didn't have Kelly McCrimmon, but again, I could debate this all day with you. Overall, how have you enjoyed these Stanley Cup playoffs?
I haven't really watched a whole lot of games. It's golf season, so I've been on the course, and I usually play between 2 and 3 o'clock every day. So by the time I'm finished, the first period's over. And I am probably the biggest Blue Jay fan in Canada. So if the Blue Jays are playing, I'm watching the Blue Jays.
Okay, well, now you just cracked the lid on story time. You did it. BW from Edmonton writes in. He says, I watched Theo in Calgary playing minor league baseball. Not sure what league it was, at Old Foothill Stadium. What was that, Theo?
I was marketing a clothing line that we had started, and I went to the Calgary Vipers, which was they were in independent ball at that time, and the old CTV guy from Winnipeg, geez, I can't remember his name, but he was kind of running the franchise and knew that I was a great ball player back in the day in Russell, and he said, I think it'd be great if you came and played a couple games with us. And so I spent the whole week taking batting practice and shagging balls. And I actually got into 2 games. In my first at bat, I got a base hit right up the middle. So it was a fun week. I really enjoyed it. And, baseball's such a great sport. And I've loved baseball, I think, from the time I started playing, and unfortunately there weren't too many 5'6" catchers in the majors when I had to make the decision whether I was going to play baseball or pursue hockey. But I think I made the right choice and stayed the hockey route.
I thought I knew everything about you. I learned something here new today.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about baseball players, though, and I'm broadcasting Moose Jaw Miller games. These guys are huge. They're really big. Ball players are big.
Especially the pitchers now. If you're under 6 feet tall, you better be able to throw it, at least 95 to 100 miles an hour, which, like I said, I've always loved baseball and loved the Blue Jays since. Yeah, well, first and foremost, I was a Montreal Expos fan.
Me
massive,
too.
Massive. And then they laughed.
Who was your favorite Expo?
Gary Carter.
Me too. The kid. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then, and then they left, and obviously the only team in Canada was the Blue Jays, and around that time they were winning division titles and then eventually, broke through by winning a couple World Series in a row. And ever since then I've been, huge Blue Jay guy.
I would ask you if you ever look back on your career and say, I'm just tired. But I think I know the answer to that. We're all tired at our age. And the reason I bring this up is Utah Darren writes in and he goes, Theo, my favorite Salt Lake Golden Eagle. He watches every day in Salt Lake City. We get a lot of viewers down there in the Utah area.
Awesome.
You weren't there real long, were you? But
No,
you like Salt Lake too.
I was there. So this is what happened. I was in Moose Jaw my last year in Moose Jaw. We were awful. Our team was terrible. And I had an opportunity at the trade deadline to go to Medicine Hat. And Medicine Hat ended up winning the Memorial Cup that year. But I decided, because I knew I was going to Salt Lake at the end of the season, I decided to go to Salt Lake. And so when I went to Salt Lake, we ended up winning the Turner Cup that spring. So I basically traded a Turner Cup for a Memorial Cup. And then I went back the following season, played 40 games, and absolutely loved Salt Lake. It is an amazing hockey town. You would not think it is, but we would put 13,000 people in the Salt Palace every night. We had a great team. Stu Grimson was there, and Paul Ranheim, Rich Chernomaz, Randy Busick. Like, we had a really, really solid team. And so I went there for 40 games. New Year's Eve, I got called up to Calgary that year. And January 1st, 1989, I walked into the Flames dressing room. And then 6 months later, we were carrying the Stanley Cup around the Montreal Forum. So pretty wild.
Well,
but you know
what?
If Salt Lake was in the league when I was playing, I would have demanded a trade to Salt Lake, and I would have loved to play in Salt Lake, because I just the mountains, the vibe, and I actually went to a game down there last year, and the atmosphere was incredible, and I think they're going to be. They're going to have a lot more success, I think in an all-around fashion, better than, if they would have stayed in Phoenix. They have a great owner.
Yeah. John from Winnipeg writes in, I'm sorry to interrupt you. He goes, Russ Hoba's finest. That's one man I love and respect on my bucket list to golf with. Have you ever done a fantasy golf thing or paid to golf with Theo or something like that?
I haven't, no, but maybe I should.
Maybe we should.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm playing golf anyways every day, so I just love the sport. It's such a great contrast between a team sport, individual sport, and I love to practice. I love hitting balls. My dad, he's 86 years old. He lives in High River, and we play golf 3 times a week. And that old bugger's still shooting his age. And, it's just and both my boys play too. So, golf has always been a huge part of our family. And that's where we've spent a lot of quality time together, is on the golf course.
Well, I'm going to read some of the comments here because it's always nice to hear nice things. Utah Darren, same guy, says Golden Eagles outdrew the Jazz back then. From Deliverance for Hope, waves and says Alberta is the leading province in Canada. Many have said Theo is the best Flame ever, averaging a point a game. I think he is. And John says, by the way, man, that would be a great promo, Rod. Do it. Golf with Theo for charity. We're just throwing that all out there. But so there was a couple things, because one thing I know about you, you always said bring up whatever you want. You don't care. Well, John, this same John mentioned earlier, he said there's a lot of jealousy in the world right now. All the hate towards the Golden Knights. There's hate towards everybody. And there's a hanging curveball for you, Theo. You want to knock it out of the park for me?
Well, a lot of it is politically driven, a lot of the political strategies now are, divide and conquer, right? And, especially over the last 10 years with liberal leadership in our country, we've become an extremely divided country where 3 provinces now are talking about separation, about, getting out from under, the ruling class in Eastern Canada. And that, so it's all politically driven. The jealousy part comes from that as well. A lot of people don't believe that people can change their ways, so to speak. And especially, all the things that I've gone through in my life, all the things that you've gone through in your life, Rod. We've surrounded ourselves with the right people, got the help that we needed, and now are in service of other people. And, everybody sees me as this political pundit, but what they don't see behind the scenes is, I've dedicated my life to helping as many people as possible who've experienced traumatic events in their life. And it's been probably the most rewarding part of my life. It's been way more successful than the first part of my life. And, when you receive comments like, you saved my life, I really believe that's the reason why we're all put on this planet and all put on this earth, is to help people who are less fortunate than ourselves that go through some really traumatic experiences in life. And and excuse me. And I've been doing this for 20 years and studying human behavior for 20 years. And I believe that every single issue we have in society starts with unresolved trauma. And then you pick your poison as to how you're going to deal with all of this emotional pain and scars that are left behind from these traumatic experiences. And so, trauma brings you into the mental health space. Trauma brings you into the addiction space, because, I see addiction as, emotional pain management. That's what it is. And as a society, we haven't created any space at all to talk about what happened to us, or, how many times do we ask the question, what happened to you? Right. And because of that, and also because, the medical field, the psychology field, the psychiatry field refuses to acknowledge that trauma is the catalyst that creates all these issues in our life. Why? Because, they can write a script. They want you on a script from the time you arrive till the time you leave. And ultimately, it's really all about relationship. Can I connect with another human being and tell him and bare my soul to him where there's no judgment? You know what I mean? Everybody's so afraid of being judged. It's the reason why we put up these walls, is because we're afraid of being judged.
I'm laughing because in our recovery academy we were in, Theo brought this up. I'm like, oh boy. To the guy running the thing, you're like, we're 3 days into this. You haven't even brought up trauma. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. And it was. But hey, it was what it was. So I appreciate you but I'll say this, man. I was with the Warrior guys last night. You know what they think of you. They think you're the greatest.
Love those guys.
Yeah, and they said, they said there's 2 sides to Theo. There's the political ranting guy, then there's the huge heart guy. They're like, why does he not make that other side evident? I said, I don't know. Ask him. Why don't you?
Well, because I know where we're headed. And where we're headed is not where anybody wants to be in anywhere, Like, for example, the deficit in Canada is going to $2.4 trillion. So we've basically destroyed 3 or 4 generations are going to be paying that debt that we have. So basically, anybody who supports, what's going on in Canada, I don't know. Like, is that the legacy we want to leave our children, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, and our great great grandchildren? Is that they have no future. Nobody can afford anything anymore. We're taxed to the max. We can't have any more taxes. You know what I mean? Like, and then, we have 2.5 million people every single day lining up for food in the third largest resource rich country in the world. And you tell me that's not an epic failure of government? Come on. You know what I mean? And it's just basically common sense. I'm just pointing out what's going on in the country. Like, I have 4 kids. And, I have a 17-year-old daughter who's graduating from high school, can't find a job. Cannot find a job. You know what I mean? Like, that is, to me, that's insane. And I just, every day, I just point out these little things that, and to me, that's still who I am. I don't want to see 2.5 million people starving in my country. I don't want my kids to pay for stupidity. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm pointing out, and it's scary times in Canada. Scary times.
I didn't necessarily mean to we'll have to bring you back to talk a little more sports, but I haven't heard from your boy Patter. I'm assuming you have your golf tournament again.
We have the Flames alumni tomorrow at Pritis, which I'm looking forward to. It's always a great event. And then I believe August 15th is our tournament. And, I know that Patter is probably the busiest Calgary Flames alumni.
Yes.
There is. He donates his time to, numerous things and numerous charities. So I'm sure that in the near future he will be in touch with you, and we would love to have you again. Obviously, be the MC, because I thought last year's hot stove was probably the best one we ever did, because we had
there was
Timmy
one
Hunter
reason
up there.
why. Yeah, it was one reason why. He's got a really big nose. Oh God, that was fun. By the way, they're probably going to cut us off, so I will say bye before having to say goodbye, Theo. But thanks for that, and hopefully we can. If it's August 15th, normally I would have heard by now from Patter, right? So,
well, I'll send him a text and say that Rod needs to hear from you.
Okay,
so.
And 30 years. The viewers were pointing out the Flames winning the Stanley Cup. That's exciting.
37
anniversary. Was that
37?
Bad at math. Did you guys celebrate it?
Mostly on social media. I saw a lot of stuff. We had a 35th anniversary a couple of years ago, where the majority of guys came back, which was a great few days to get together and catch up. Oh
yeah. There we go. Sorry, Theo. Like I said, it was going to come fast. Thank you, the great Theron Fleury. We'll be right back here on Silver State Sports.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video. so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show on Silver State Sports. We're excited. Get to talk about the Golden Knights here on the Sports Update, but just to put a wrapper on the interview with Theo and Fleury, you just got a little bit of an inside glimpse as to what Theo and I do in the recovery space, the mental health space, and furthermore, like I was talking about the haters of the Golden Knights or the haters of everything. David number 2 writes in, he says, I don't hate the haters. I feel sorry for them. Probably have nothing positive in their lives. You know, Theron said the trauma and the anger manifests in substance abuse behavior, and some of it is hate and jealousy. Same thing. So that's why the haters, they don't bother me at all. As a matter of fact, I kind of like mine because it's like it tells me that we're still relevant. You know, but when I said I never really knew what door to open, I brought that up. Like, we are in a global mental health crisis, and Theo and I are part of a team of people helping people deal with that. He took it down the political road, which I should have knew that he would, but it is what it is. And hopefully, in planning to be in Calgary again, doing our show live from his golf tournament last summer was so great. All these former NHLers. I mean, I'm not a golf guy, obviously, but I love doing events. Love doing hot stoves. And it was great. Okay, the sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. The Golden Knights beat the Avalanche 2-1 Tuesday night in Las Vegas to sweep the Western Conference's top-seeded team and clinch their third trip to the Stanley Cup Final in just 9 seasons of existence. This was not supposed to happen. The Golden Knights had fewer wins during the regular season than 6 non-playoff teams and fired their head coach on the eve of the postseason. What a story. What a story. And I'm spending far more time thinking about this than I should. Sort of this whole Vegas being the bad boys thing and the anti-cancel culture thing. That's not the crusade that they set out to be on. I can guarantee you of that, knowing so many of their staff and players. It just kind of happened along the way. They just want to win. So it's evoked a lot of jealousy and hate from the people along the way. And like literally, who cares if they didn't have as many wins as those 6 teams that missed the playoffs? Those teams should be learning that it's not about the regular season, it's about the playoffs. Just get in. And we had their general manager, Kelly McCrimmon, on, as you remember, during the Olympic break. And at that time, they were struggling. And he said, yeah, we want to win every game. Every team does. God, I hope they win the Stanley Cup. From the NBA, the reigning champs beat the Spurs 127-114 on Tuesday night to regain control of the NBA's Western Conference Final and move within a win of the NBA Finals. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the OKC Thunder and Jared McCain led the way for the Thunder, while Victor Wembanyama was a non-factor for most of the night, 20 points, and declined to speak to the media after. Is he going to get fined $100,000? Like John Tortorella? From college football. Starting in 2027, SEC football teams will schedule conference games on the penultimate weekend of the regular season instead of FCS and low major opponents as they've done for years. Commissioner Greg Sankey said, quote, the end of Cupcake Weekend. More competitive games, I think we're all for that, especially with what we're paying for tickets. From the NBA, more from the NBA. Boston's Joe Mazzulla was named Coach of the Year, beating out Detroit's J.B. Bickerstaff. The Cleveland Cavaliers are expected to retain Kenny Atkinson, last season's Coach of the Year, amid rumors that Cleveland was eyeing Jason Kidd. And from the World Hockey Championship, which I didn't even have time to get into with Theo, but he's played in many of them. The United States won its group stage finale at the Ice Hockey World Championship to set up a quarterfinal match against Canada. Joining them in the quarterfinals, Switzerland, Finland, Latvia, Norway, Czechia, and Sweden. As a matter of fact, I had it in my other script here. I didn't write it, but somebody did, saying this is a rematch of the gold medal game at the Olympics, Canada versus the USA. No, it's not. No, it's not. The only similarity, I guess, is Matthew Tkachuk and Sidney Crosby. Am I right? I mean, there are more similarities than that, but this is not. It's not even in any way, shape, or form. Here it is. The defending champion Americans squeaked into the playoffs after finishing 4th in Pool A with a 4-1 win over Austria. Now back to getting in. Over.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, we're back for Overtime, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes. And yes, I posted a photo to my social media today of Theo and I at Overtime Hockey Lanes. It was last summer when we did a live show there. Oh, my God, I love that place, an amusement park for hockey players. So we weren't there today. I kind of wish that we were, but it is what it is. And from the audience, still leftovers from the Theo interview, viewer Jason says, what a great interview with Theo. I don't always agree with his political views, but man, what a guy. Very, very, very special guy. Brent in the Bridge City writes that he says, Theo was absolutely a great guy and a survivor. It's great to see him doing so well. I should have pointed that out for our viewers that don't know that might be watching on Silver State Sports. Yeah, he played 1,100-plus NHL games. Yeah, he scored 1,100-plus points, won a Stanley Cup, Turner Cup, Olympic gold, World Hockey Championship gold, World Juniors gold. Was also sexually abused by his coach between, what is it? It's like 150 to 250 times. A lot. Once is wrong. Hundreds of times he was sexually abused by his coach. And so, why not? We've opened the door on this today. He's the proper phrase for it is alchemy, turning your personal tragedy into helping other people instead of becoming bitter and what a lot of people do. That's what Theo's doing with his. But the sucky thing, I love that you're all saying great that he's doing so great, because he is doing so great. But the brutal part about it is he's not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And if there was ever a Hockey Hall of Fame career, he's got it. I listed off. It's the biggest reason why I list off his career every time we have him on, because he's not in the Hall of Fame, because there's a stigma attached. According to, I've heard Gino Retta say it on TSN. I'm like, what's the stigma? Because he was an addict? He got over it? Was reinstated by Gary Bettman? I don't understand. And the Western Hockey League this winter, Canadian Hockey League, that's the junior, came out with their list of the top 50 junior hockey players of all time. Theo wasn't on it. Not right. So I was talking to a guy the other day. Same guy. I brought him up earlier. He just got out of rehab. We called. He was giving me a life update. And he goes, man, I wish I could get canceled. And I said, what? He goes, oh, I wish I could get canceled and just move to another city and start over. I said, you don't want to get canceled. You don't want to get canceled. Theo's been canceled. I've been canceled. It's not fun to be canceled. And to wind this all up, people tried to cancel Carter Hart. This doesn't mean that you can't flourish. You just have to flourish somewhere else. And Carter Hart is doing that with the Vegas Golden Knights. Boy. I'll just read it because you're a P1, Kirk in Toronto. He writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hey, Rod, I'm totally in agreement with Theo on what the Liberals have done to Canada the last 11 years. I'm just reading it because last night at our team welcome barbecue for the baseball team, for which I'm their broadcaster, the Moose Jaw Millers, and a lot of the boys are rolling in and out of here. Somebody at the end of the table, they're like, oh, you live in America, huh? I said, yeah, 9 months out of the year. Ah, well, this is what I think about Trump, blah, 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 blah. And I said, and this is why I don't talk politics. We're here for baseball tonight and for the summer, which is a whole other thing that I didn't plan to get into, but I will throughout the course of this. It's nice to be the voice of a team again. It's a perfect gig for me. I only broadcast home games. It's on Flow College Baseball. And it's just a summer league, June, July, August, collegiate NCAA league. And it's fun to be around the boys and meet the new players. I was saying it in the first hour. It's just in the 3 years since I've been doing this, every guy's a brand now. Everybody's got their own logo and their own company name instead of their name on their Instagram handle. That's what sports has become. Everybody's a brand. They're their own brand. And I'll tell you this, you get to this level of baseball, you're a player. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I've had a brand for 40 years, so I get it. Everybody wants one. But it's fun to sit around and see that and meet the new players and catch up with the old players and get tossed your team gear. That's always fun. And the season opens Thursday and on the road, and then we're home Friday to the defending champion Red Sox. Tony from Cochrane writes in. He says, reunion at the OT hockey lanes? We'll see. What do you got, Corey? No show tomorrow, by the way. No show tomorrow. But we'll be here with a Football Friday. What do you got? 1 minute? Oh, okay. John Ohm says, have a great day, everyone. Go Montreal. Vive Montreal. One day at a time, Tony, as you know, as the bracelet says, we'll be getting to Calgary, whether it's at Overtime Hockey. If we're going to Calgary in time for a show, it'll be at Overtime Hockey Lanes. I'm just trying to get through today, and tomorrow I'll work on tomorrow. Theo said August 15th, he thinks is his goal. He works one day at a time, too. For some of us, it's the only way that we can roll. It drives the people around us crazy, but it works. It's like Sergei Bobrovsky, one shot at that time. That's successful for him. So we'll be out there. Obviously, we will let you know. But a big thank you to Theo for tuning in today, for all of you for putting up with me. I'll say it again. There will be no show tomorrow. Everything's fine. There just will be no show tomorrow. And we'll be on the air Friday with a Football Friday. No Kevin the Medium. That reminds me, I got to get on an hour one guest. And I'm hoping for Mike Davis of the Vegas Nighthawks, who just won another Indoor Football League championship on the weekend with the Vegas Nighthawks. All they do is win, win, win. The Vegas Nighthawks, owned by the Vegas Golden Knights. Just something about what they do in Las Vegas in that particular ownership group. Okay, everybody. See you Friday. Take
That